Yes, yo. Yeah, the echo's gone. What a nightmare. Yo, technical difficulties be stressing me and stutters out. What up, party people? What's the deal? What is going on this beautiful Wednesday? Happy, joy. Who do we have in the house tonight? What up, Yeesh? What's the deal? My man, Bananas. Thank you, Bananas. I appreciate it. Oh, congratulations. Welcome to your new place, having me on the TV. My man, Gorilla Strong, ladies and gentlemen. What's the deal, homie? Thank you, Gorilla. Thank you so very much. Yes. Thank you for the congrats on the video. We'll get into that in a second. My man, Gorilla. My man, John Milburn is in the house. Goodfoot. My man, One Goodfoot. Yeesh, of course. Spoon. Any, what's the deal? Mere Depp. Everybody is here. We are all ready to have a good time. So before I get into the short, quick announcements, I just want to let y'all know we got my man Sabac waiting in the wing, and I am very excited to talk to my brother Sabac. It's been a minute, so, we're just going to have a lot of fun. Last time I saw Sabac, I was driving him from a venue. He came out to LA, and I was driving him from the venue that Nonfiction had just did a show. And maybe I was a little weeded, and I don't know if Sabac might have had a little drink or something, but he had me laughing so hard that I almost fucking crashed and killed us both. Sabac is the greatest, but we'll get into Sabac. So, as my man Gorilla said, the new video is out. Myself, qunique, DJ Redmatic. We dropped our first single last week, but last night we dropped our video, and the love was just overwhelming. So I'm very thankful for everyone that showed us so much love. Thank you so very much. It means so much to me and Red. On behalf of me and Red, thank you so very much for the love, for the support, for posting it, for the dope comments, all of that stuff. There's plenty more to come. That's just number one of a bunch of songs, so stay tuned for that. Know what I mean? Thank you, Bananas. What's going on? What's the deal? Edwin, is that you, son? What's the deal? Anyway, so without further ado, what I want to do right now is I want to bring, because this is going to be a fun conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, my man, my homie, my brother, Sabac. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. What is the deal, brother?
What's up? qunique. Cypher up.
What's going on,
Cypher
bro?
up. Cypher up. Can you hear me okay? Check 1, 2.
Yes. Everybody,
I know.
let me know if you can hear it. Sabac, I think everything is good, but I think we're okay.
I think we're okay. Before we were a little Echo Unlimited.
Yeah, I know. We
shout out to Rugged Jeans, Fat Jeans.
Rugged Jeans, homie.
Bill Fox, the first to carry Echo Unlimited in his store, right? Mark Echo coming in and a couple of T-shirts, and Bill saying, "Yeah, let's get these into the store," and then. Eventually that was there, right? So anyway, no more Echo.
Oh, there you go. No, yeah. I got you.
What's up, you? What's up, everyone?
So let's start with the present. I know that Nonfiction just went out to South America. Why don't you give us a quick? First of all, I saw some video footage, and it was just bananas. So why don't you, if you may, could you please give us a little recap of what you guys experienced in South America?
Yo, first of all, the flight on Avianca Airlines from JFK to Bogota was crazy. I prefer Cobra, no disrespect. but I would say, Q, that 2005 or 6, Nonfiction performed in Bogota. We performed at an amphitheater to this big festival in the park. And there was like 15, 20,000 people, and it was incredible. And to be able to do this like 22 years later and go to Bogota and sell out a show at a venue, not as large, but sell out, I think it was like 600, 700 or whatever thousand. Yo, it was bananas, right? And roots in Colombia. You know, my wife's Colombian, so my kids are half Colombian and all that. So to be able to be the Bogota was incredible, and to see that there were like younger generations, right? Like 20-year-olds, not like our age, right? It was some people our age who went to that show, but there was like genuine like fans who knew the lyrics, and then to fly over to Chile, Santiago, the next day, and another sold out show with like it was crazy. And we've never done Santiago. And if you see, I mean, we're talking about like what, one album, some solo projects, you know, a couple of like singles here and there. Feel extremely blessed and fortunate to see the support that continues. And what we heard a lot, Q, was that a lot of the content and the music that we were doing back then is like, here it is. When people thought we were crazy and we were conspiracy theorists and all that, it's like, look at the world now, right? So I think a lot of that is translating, and the younger generation is like, yep, we hear you, man. This is real. So yeah, man, it was great. Great time, and really, really great to catch up with Ill Bill and Eclipse again. You know, Gore unfortunately had some medical things, so he couldn't make it. We were really hoping that everyone would be there, but fans still appreciate it. Bill, me, and Eclipse in the hotel altered the show a little bit. Got to do some solo songs. Bill got to do more solo songs. It was dope, man. And just the city of Santiago was great.
God bless. That is truly amazing. Hey guys in the chat, just let me know if I'm still echoing. I think it fixed, but I'm not hearing echoes anymore. I hope it's not echoing. We're trying to figure it out. Something with StreamYard and Rode and all of that, but I don't think I'm echoing anymore. A lot of people are giving you a lot of props, giving you shouts. My man Detroit Throwers in the house. We got people up. My man Flex, what's the deal? We got people up in Canada giving you love. People all over the United States. It's just beautiful right now.
Love
this
that.
is so dope. And I was very happy for you guys that to see that, especially like what you're saying. It's like the reality is Arsonist, Nonfiction, a lot of our groups, all of our albums are 20 plus at this point.
Yep.
And so to be able to go out and tour somewhere and pack a club and still get that kind of love, it just shows you, like, just narrowing it down to Nonfiction, how the music is just so meaningful, and it can't, you know what I mean? Like it just has that power, that just aura about it. And I've always known it because I've been fortunate to tour with you guys for years. I've always looked at myself as the Capadonna of Nonfiction. So.
Oh man, yo Q, I used to love when you used to come out with us, man. We would always have a good time, you know, listening to like all types of music, from like Judy Torres, System of a Down, right, to Big Daddy Kane, right, to Madonna and Cyndi Lauper and sing songs. qunique on the Warped Tour, hanging outside of the van, doing karaoke.
Screaming Slipknot lyrics.
Exactly. Screaming Slipknot lyrics. It was wild. Always a good time. Yeah, man.
My man Gorilla Strong says Virginia has massive respect for Nonfiction. My man Bill Shapiro giving you a shout out. Good foot. My man the Albanian Syndicate, what's the deal? So yo, Sabac, a lot of people, so I've spoken about you countless times on my show, and I think it was last week that I had mentioned that the one person that I've known the longest in this industry is you. And like, people would assume it's Crazy Legs, but the truth is, me and Sabac come from the same neighborhood, Gravesend. Gravesend, Brooklyn, and we went to the same high school together way before. We wanted to rap, but we weren't. I know I wasn't thinking about deals and tours. I knew I just wanted to rap. And just to segue Sabac for this, Sabac was like, the way I remember him in high school, he was like a cool kid. Like he had like this aura about him. Like he was like real chill, almost on some, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out like a person that was equal to you. You were just very chill every time I saw you. And Sabac used to hand out flyers for hip hop shows and freestyle shows. And I didn't at first. I just caught the flyer, and then one day we were both in the GO store. And Sabac knows what a GO store is.
The general store where you could buy chips and unhealthy
and
food.
ice cream and shit. And Bach had a stack of flyers with him, and like from that moment, Sabac was a rock star to me. He was like the first like famous person, because when I saw that, I just quickly like put him in a category of, oh, this kid is different from the rest of us. Like no shit, like no bullshit. Like I was like, this kid is doing something that none of else, even though, Bach, add on to the list, Scrap Lover from Big Daddy Kane's circle used to come to our school. You mentioned somebody else.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but one of the dancers that used to dance for Super Lover C in Casanova Rudd. Got his name. He has a high top.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, he would roll through. A lot of people would throw. And even speaking of the GO store, like Rock Nest Monster from Helter Skelter, Rock, Jamal, he would come to the GO store too and get some flyers. He went to our high school as well.
So you're hearing that, like Rock from boot camp used to come to our, like, I wish I could remember. The only, like, for me, I was more of a transplant. I was bounced around because of home shit, but it was just perfect timing to show up at Lafayette High School, and there's Bach, and he's promoting these dope shows. I think I went to two, but the one that stands out in my mind was Bach. Well, first of all, Bach, before I even get into the show, who, like, were you a part of a crew like that?
Yeah.
How did that whole Stargazers thing happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I appreciate you naming that. So, for me, I started off as like a wannabe graffiti artist, and I was terrible. And I think I've said this in some platforms before, right? But I also was a dancer. I love dancing. I love like b-boying. Me and my twin sister would get the boom box, right? I still have one back here. I don't even know if that's the one that I originally had, because that's the original. And we'd go around our neighborhood in Gravesend and get refrigerator boxes and break dance. And actually in elementary school, and we can get into this, I went to elementary school, and in my class was a kid named Anthony Mason, who's Maceo from De La Soul's brother. So Maceo also went to PS 97. So now we're talking elementary school, right? So I used to be in a breakdancing crew called the Automatic Breakers with this kid named Keith Phoebus, Dean Yellen, Anthony Mason, and we go around and we battle. And so that's really, I started as a dancer, but I would always freestyle as well. So when I got to high school, there was already this embedded like culture. I wanted to be part, and I knew this DJ from the neighborhood who lived on Bay Parkway, and his name was Anthony. I can't remember his last name, but he would DJ a lot of the venues, a lot of the clubs, and I was friends with him because I was always looking for someone to DJ. Or when I would go to block parties, if there was a block party, if you grew up in Brooklyn, in our neighborhood, you had block parties to go to in the summer almost every weekend. And me, I would go and I would always form a circle and we dance, and I get on the mic and I freestyle, and so Anthony took me on and was like, look, I do shows and I work with Sleeping Bag Records, I work with other Delicious Vinyl, etc. So I do these parties at a club called Stargazers, at Crystal City, and at like the Cotillion, and all these clubs that were in Brooklyn. So I said, I'll help out. And he said, you can get 50 cents for every person that comes in and gives a flyer. So I would have to put my initials on the flyer on the corner, right? So, the parties I would do would be like Tila Rock and Nocera, as an example, freestyle singer. And then Greg Nice would show up, because Greg Nice is on Sleeping Bags, and Greg Nice would then beatbox for Tila Rock. And I remember he would be like, don't stop. And he'd be like all hyper, right? So my thing was, I would bring them to the high school at 15, 16 years old, and I was handing them out to get people to come. Because at that time, most of us either had fake IDs or we would get it to the club, and people would come, and I would get 50 cents for every person that came in. So sometimes I make like $100 a night, whatever it was. But the good thing is that I was backstage with Big Daddy Kane, Scoob and Scrap, because we would do scuba. We would do parties for the Milk and Gizmo, Audio 2, right?
Wow.
I mean, we would do shows all the time. I remember trying to get Biz Marquee, right? So we would do these shows in Brooklyn that would have, and it was so diverse too. You have like Italians from Bensonhurst and Gravesend, and all ethnicities, black and Puerto Rican and Dominican from
Right.
different areas and Marlboro, and it was
Sunset.
all
Yeah.
coming together for hip hop, right there under the
Yes.
roof to see Big Daddy Kane and Audio Q and Biz Markie and Steph Fusion, freestyle music, right?
Yes.
Show me, cover girls. So I would promote that, man, and you were there when you'd be like, hey, can I get a flyer? And I'm like, yep, let's
Yep.
do it. So anyway, that's what that is. So shout out to Anthony and the crew that I used to run with and would promote these parties.
It's so crazy that you said Anthony Mason because I remember him. So that just messed my head up because I remember him. That is so crazy. So
Anthony
real
Mason.
quick, what are some of the acts from the Fat Beats movement that stood out to y'all? I'm just making sure that I always check with the chat. So
Sure.
for me, the first group that always stood out, and I always felt like at the time when Nonfiction, Arsonist, Indelibles, and Company Flow and all of that were happening, the one crew that for me that I always paid attention to because I, for some reason at that time, always felt like they were way ahead of all of us was Natural Elements. For some reason, I was always watching them because they had Charlemagne and they were doing things at that time that none of us were doing in the beginning. After a while, Nonfiction, Company Flow, Arsonist, those are the only three that I can remember, High and Mighty, from our circle that were like full on world touring at that time.
Right.
So I don't remember I don't remember seeing Natural Elements on the road during that time. I just remember those crews. I'm sure I'm missing one or two people or crews, but that was the crew. Was there a group that you paid attention to back then in the Fat Beats days?
I mean, when I think about that, I remember going to Fat Beats when it was over on what was it, 9th Street?
Yes.
On the east side, and I remember going down there because I used to intern at Wild Pitch Records back in '94. So Eclipse got a fax about this record store, and we would go down there. And I remember, I think it was a group called the Knuckleheads, maybe it was, or something.
Oh, yes.
Like the first vinyl, and the Nonfiction became the second. But I remember, Juggernauts was big too. Like
they were really, out the gate.
Juggernauts, that Fat Beats era, and of course Q. What I remember is when Bobito and Typhoon flew us out to Denmark, and those groups right there, which was Nonfiction, Arsonist, Mass Influence, Company Flow,
High and Mighty,
that right there was like that era. And of course, within our own inner circle, right, like Necro and others that were in there was like that was it. But then a lot of things came. But we also, when we think about the Fat Beats era stuff that I was also listening to, a lot of us were like still like Mobb Deep and Boot Camp Click and
Nas,
Gangstar, Nas, and of course Nas, because I was there for that inception, helping promote that Illmatic record when Search took me under his wing with Eclipse as well.
Listen to what Sabac is saying. I got to tell y'all something because we're gonna dive deep. What a lot of people don't know is that Sabac's history is crazy. Now, I just want to rewind a pinch because when you said Biz Markie, right? The exact conversation I had with you in the Geo store was you were talking to a homie and Bismarck's name came up and I was being nosy. So before I asked you for flyers, I was like, y'all are trying to book Bismarck? And like you looked at me, you were being cool. You was like, yeah, but the price is too high. And I was like, how much is he asking for? I was being real nosy. And I think you said 10 G's or some crazy number. And then that's when I asked you for the flyers. But that's why when you said Bismarck, I was like, that's the first fucking conversation I had with Sabac was, how much is Bismarck charging you? Can I get some flyer? Like, that's crazy. That is so
first
crazy.
Rest in peace, Biz Markie.
Yes,
I mean, Biz was like, whew, I never really got to know him personally. I do remember seeing him one time at a record label, and he was like, hey, what's up? And we started talking. I was like, oh, yeah, I try to book you. And my people was trying to book you. He was like, I have a friend, a new style. He rhymes backwards, like, and he did that for me in person. I'll never forget it. We were sitting like in some label. He was in the lobby, I was in the lobby, waiting to get accepted in by the receptionist. And he was just like, look, look. And I was like, the Bismarck, right? And we just started vibing. I think we actually did that in sync, like, you know.
That's dope. Oh, I miss
yeah,
Biz,
yeah,
man.
that might have been it. I remember us trying to get some acts, and again, you know, it was like, yeah, I don't know if we can afford it. I don't know if we ever ended up getting Bismarcky, you know. And again, I was the little kid who had access to one of the most well-known high schools, and I would be at the block parties, and I would sneak into some of the clubs. So having to promote that was you know, a big deal. Yep.
So let me make sure I got every. All right. So who's Joe Sykes? What's the deal, homie? To Machiavelli, what's going on? My man Crazy Legs is in the house. Spoon, that's what's up. All right, we're gonna keep this conversation. So Bach, what I was curious about. So first of all, Gravesend. The first thing I want to say is Gravesend, I felt, was a tough neighborhood for anything that was different. And in the beginning, when hip hop started to like show its face, I felt like not necessarily the kids, but the community itself was kind of like, And I felt like for guys like me and you who are like half breeds, you know, we're Puerto Rican, we're Italian, we definitely had to deal with some, you know, challenges you know, most pure Italian kids just didn't have to deal with. And so how did you navigate through that? Was it because you were was it because you were such a more involved in the community than I? Because I lived there just like you did. I was on Avenue and West 8th, but I was more like a shy kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your process was of dealing with those kind of challenges, especially loving hip hop immediately, but then going out and being like, "Ooh, I better be careful what I'm displaying here." How did you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and you know, I want to try to define it as best as possible, but I can take myself back to that time and knowing that it was unfamiliar for a lot of people. Hip hop was still new, you know, and you know what we would do is on our boom boxes we would record, you know, Red Alert and Marley Mall, BLS, Kiss FM on Friday nights, and I'd have those tapes, and then something, you know, stuck with me in terms of really wanting to, it resonated, right? The music resonated, the dance resonated, right? And again, shout out to Crazy Legs. I remember watching Beat Street. I recite that movie back and forth. Remember, like, you know, it wasn't always comfortable because it was unfamiliar and unknown, and it was conceived as only a certain type of people can listen to this music, and people who look like us shouldn't, right? But eventually evolved, and that could have also been the rebellion in me. You know, remember, aside from like being Puerto Rican and Sicilian, I had red hair. So oftentimes I kind of over-compromised a little bit with the mask in terms of like, I really got to show because I'm not trying to be messed with, right? A Puerto Rican Sicilian with red hair growing up in the neighborhood was a little even more different, right?
You stood out.
Stood out 100%. But what was crucial too, and I want to attribute some of the maybe confidence and shout outs to my mom, rest in peace, for putting me in things like sports, right? So I played baseball for the BBA from like 6 years old. So being part of a team and a collective and, you know, playing second base. And I said this before, when I grew up, I wanted to be Willie Randolph. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, you know, so, but then also seeing the validation, because like, you know, as human beings, oftentimes we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to feel valued. But when I would go and dance, and even my family members at parties, you know, come on, John, do the back spin, do the hand spin or whatever, right? Exploiting me. But I loved it. And I got attention for something as an outlet that was creative. And when I would go to the block parties, there became John Red. Oh, John Red's coming tonight. It became a thing, actually. And I just felt seen and validated. And it wasn't necessarily about ego, but it was more around like, probably the need to feel that as someone who, you know, again, was going through a lot of stuff as a young person too. You know, it's not, I have no problem saying it, especially in the neighborhood. I kind of like, I stood out a little bit, not because I looked, but also like my mom raised me and my twin sister by herself. We grew up on public assistance. I would go to the corner store with the food coupons and have to rip them out.
Especially in that neighborhood.
That neighborhood, it wasn't really, common.
No. Oh man, that's what I, Right. So John Milburn, yes, me and Sabac did go to high school together, Lafayette High School. So thank you for that. What up, JMV? Reese, what's the deal?
Yo, you know what's crazy? I just recently, you know what's crazy? What I recently found out, Jeffrey Epstein graduated Lafayette High School.
Shut up.
I was like, and he grew up in Seagate, Coney Island. I was like, oh man,
that's wild, bro. Well, luckily, you and I were too young to hang with that motherfucker. So
way too young to hang with him, but that's
way too young. So
weird.
Sabac, was there a rapper, a single, or an album in hip hop that was the switch? So for me, obviously I respect Run DMC. Obviously I respect the Furious Five and Cold Crush. But for me, I always think about Criminal Minded. When that album hit, I was back in Gravesend, and it was like, that was the switch for me. It was like instant. From being a fan, it was like, now I'm pursuing this. And I was wondering, was there so for me, it was Boogie Down Productions, Criminal Minded, and then Paid in Full. Those two albums were like matter of fact, it's three: Boogie Down, Criminal, Paid in Full, and Long Live the Cane. Those three were like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, all right, we're doing this. Was there something for you that, of course you said you were freestyling young, but what was the turning point that told you, you know what, I'm pursuing this shit?
Well, I can get into some albums, but it makes me think back to, and I don't know if many people know about this, but there was a artist named John Carter. John Carter lived on Bay Parkway in Brooklyn and had a song called Buggin' Brooklyn. And I met John Carter at a block party. So I would go to his crib on Bay Parkway. He actually had a record out, really independent, but that to me was like, I saw the possibility in Buggin' Brooklyn, and he represented and all of that. But then as things evolved, that we talk about the more popular, Paid in Full, Eric B. and Rakim, that was huge for me. EPMD, Strictly Business, Coogee Rap and Polo, of course, Long Live the Cane, Big Daddy Kane. And shout outs to my boy M-Try, because he also grew up in the neighborhood.
Shout out to M-Try, yes.
And he would break dance, and he would rap, and he would DJ, and he had turntables. I never had turntables, so
me neither. Couldn't afford them shits.
And of course, Criminal Minded was pivotal as well. And a lot of it was also listening to the mix shows, right? So,
Red Alert.
Kid Capri and listening to Request Line and listening to just the classics. Of course, Run DMC. That was a for sure no brainer. And then Beastie Boys came out, and I was like, what is this, right?
Yes.
And then,
but a lot of that stuff, I feel like growing up, we were more fans of that stuff, and I feel like BDP, Kane, G-Rap, Rakim, they kind of even though what they were doing was light years ahead of anyone, never mind just me and you, just ahead of anyone.
That's right.
For some reason, maybe because we were older, for me, it was just it felt like, okay, this is what I really want to pursue. Looking at Run DMC and Melly Mel, that felt like a different stratosphere to me.
Right.
That's why I was just a fan of it, because it just looked larger than life. Not to say that the guys we're mentioning weren't, because at this point, to me, that's the Mount Rushmore. It's like Chris, Ra, G-Rap, Kane. To me, that's my Mount Rushmore. So it's like they are larger than life, but those guys Run DMC. It just felt like they weren't real. You were a fan of them, but you just just harder to attain.
It's so interesting because when Nonfiction opened up for Run DMC at Tramps, I remember being like on the side of the stage when Jam Master Jay went on stage and started run, run, run. And I'm standing right behind DMC watching him about to go on stage and then Run about to go on stage. And I felt like I was in the movie Crush Group. I was like, yo, this is surreal. Now, we had just gotten off stage. We just opened up.
Right.
Settling in. I'm like, this is ridiculous, right? But yeah, it was, it was a lot. It was a lot. I also really like Black Rock and Ron. You know what I mean? At a Queens.
Wow,
I used
son.
I used to roll out to the Coliseum because, again, not many people know this. I mentioned this in a couple of interviews, but even before, I used to be part of a group called Focus that I was out of Jamaica, Queens.
So this is a group that you were in before Nonfiction, correct?
Way before Nonfiction. I was in high school, and it was, there was this audition. They were looking for a rapper, and I went out to this venue called the Pyramid, right, in Merritt Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. And I auditioned for this guy named Chris Curry. Chris Curry was a talent manager, lived on like 163rd Hillside Avenue. So I took the train from Coney Island out to Jamaica. I remember taking the dollar van, like literally getting off at the last stop.
Queens, baby.
Right? And went to audition and I ended up getting the part. But this was more like I was the MC of kind of like an R&B type of group, but I was the rapper, so I was writing original lyrics. Yeah. And what's crazy is that I ended up getting the part, right? Not the part, but I ended up being part of the group, right? So they were vetting. So I would have to go to rehearsals every Saturday in Jamaica, Queens. So I would go there and they had vocal coaches that would meet us at this place called the Pyramid. The Pyramid was a pretty popular venue. It used to be called Mysteries at some point too. I think it was called originally. Mm-hmm. Which really, I don't want to go on a tangent, but this is on everything and I've got the receipts. So my group Focus not opened up, but we performed at Mark Jackson's wedding from the New York Knicks.
Wow.
Bro, I got photos.
Basketball player, right?
Bro, sitting with Patti LaBelle, the basketball player.
Yeah, I'm just making it clear for the people watching.
Bro, go ahead. Mark Jackson married a woman named Desiree Coleman, who was an R&B singer and had some music out at the time. And our manager, Chris Curry, was working with Desiree Coleman because we'd be in the studio with Full Force, right? So Bole Galoo and them was producing some songs for us. And the vocal coaches were a group called the Poindexter Brothers. And the Poindexter Brothers were the writers and the original creators of Thin Line Between Love and Hate. It's a thin line, right?
History, so y'all listening? Keep on.
They'd be in there doing that stuff, practicing vocals, and I write raps, and so that we go out and perform. So, and even, Bud from The Cosby Show, right?
Yeah.
Richardson, yeah. So he was part of our little crew too. Kwame's brother, Naeem, rest in peace, he was rolling with us. Because he lived across the street. Kwame lived across the street from one of the kids who was in the group with me, Danny Wooten. So it was like, I spent a lot of time out there in Queens at the Coliseum. I see LL there. I get my shirt from Shirt King. So, shout outs to the Coliseum that just closed down. I wish I was there. We'd be out there. But I'd see like Black Rock and Ron out there. I'd see Biz out there. So that was before Nonfiction. And we got a chance to open up for like Keith Sweat. We did the Apollo. We would do these venues called Sweetwaters.
I remember Sweetwater. I remember Sweetwater, man.
Through those venues. And yeah, man, it was really, really rich. But it was always me. I was always the MC, like the rapper of it, as the other group members were like singing and rapping and dancing and all of that. So, and it was funny because we were trying to do these lyrics, but I was always doing it hardcore, so it didn't really gel as much.
Right. You were a kid.
Yeah, man. I remember we were in the studio, and I had posted this on Instagram years ago. We were in the studio, and Tribe was finishing up their first album. So
Instinctive Travels. What up, Ben? What up, Ben Official? Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, that's some of my history, in terms of like even before, but it was all about the music, man. It was about like this outlet, this creative outlet, and the pivotal point for me was, if you remember, Yusuf Hawkins got murdered in Bensonhurst.
Yes. And homie came to Bay Ridge to march.
Yes, exactly. And I was part of that. And I remember my teacher, Miss Reali, in school, and this was either in Sutlo or Lafayette. But I remember she said we want everyone to write poetry or an essay around racism, and I wrote a rap, and it ended up winning first place in this whole contest they had. And I remember I went to Bishop Kearney one night. It was that all-girls school, and they had an award ceremony. I got a savings bond and an award from the Brooklyn Borough president of my name in the news. And at that point, I realized like I can use my voice for something meaningful, because before that it was all battle raps. Like I started battle rapping in Sutlo Park, Sutlo Junior High School, IS 96, with my boy Keith, Kevin, and Derek and Eric, all sets of twins. I had mentioned this on another podcast with Toby. Shout outs to Toby. But yeah, that's some of the history, man. It goes back.
Deep. You know that, and it's one of those things that, for me, it's amazing to hear, because some of it I know, and some of it, like, I didn't know about Focus. I didn't know that, and it's crazy. I've known you the longest, but I didn't know about you, like, being in a group where there's singers and you're rapping. Like, that is just mind-blowing, because people don't realize that when you get on a passion, when you discover your passion, and you start your journey, like when you listen to Sabac's story, for instance, it's a journey. And Sabac started really early in life. And what's dope is, I'm guessing because of the time that he started, there wasn't really any rush. There wasn't like, I need to see the end results tomorrow. It wasn't no instant gratification. He just put on his fucking shoes, got up and walked, and discovered all the nooks and crannies in New York City, and made himself become part of some amazing experiences. And that's one of the things that I have to pause back for a minute and say, a true passion is something that's going to be a journey. I can't tell you how long the journey is going to be, but it's a journey nonetheless. And so when I listen to a story like Sabac, because I know in his case, he's just ventured into so many different avenues, and he has been in so many interesting circles, from hanging out with actors or hanging out with athletes, or you know, being a mentor to kids, or being in the hip hop circle. It's like this brother right here has seen a lot. But what's fascinating about Sabac is that he's done everything with a level of dignity, and I never ever seen him rush for result. I never seen him trip out for instant gratification. He just kind of like, that's what I meant about his coolness. Like when I first met him in high school, like he had like this aura about him where he was just like chill. You know, he wasn't goofy. He was on some Rakim shit, if I had to think about it. He's like on like some chill shit, like, you know, just surveying the fucking land and doing his thing. And so that's my, like, just early flowers for Bach, because that's one of those things. Like in recent years, I went on this, and I think I told you a little bit about it, where I was reworking my catalog. I wasn't happy with what happened. I let things get out of hand. And so I went back and I re-recorded certain verses, and I wanted to clean up my act. And it's guys like you that have had the dignity to kind of like, most like 98, 99.9% of the time, just stick to your guns and move forward. And I always admire that about you, because you did it with dignity. I thought of you. I thought of, again, going back to thinking of Chris and Ra in particular, because they never shifted their mission statement. And neither of you. You've always been in the community, and you've always been in the culture. And you get flowers for that, man. You're one of my favorite people on the fucking planet. So I just wanted to say that, man.
That's a lot, Q. I mean, I really appreciate that. And, you know, it's, you know, when I think about even the whole, you know, with the coolness, you know, it's also not easy, right? Like I think about how often like teenagers, you know, I got a 15-year-old son too. It's like oftentimes when we go to school or we're in the presence, it's sometimes we want to just be goofy and be free, right? And let out, unapologetically be ourselves, and that's part of it, right? But the other thing is sometimes you don't want to kind of be messed with either, right? So sometimes it becomes a mask and a shell. So a lot of it's authentic, and a lot of it is the protection, so that we don't get
protect that heart,
so we don't get messed with. But yeah, so I appreciate that, and there were some choices that I'm not 100% happy with, right? But again, staying on that path, and I think that's why people oftentimes said, okay, that's what made nonfiction work. I was always considered the more political or the more righteous or whatever the categorization was, how they would categorize me, but it worked, right? So yeah, man. So it's first time. And as far as the journey, absolutely. Sometimes to a default, I didn't rush a sense of urgency. I genuinely appreciate the journey. If there were spaces, if I heard about it, an opportunity for an event to showcase my talents or to like listen and watch and observe, I was a teacher. I was a student. I still am. I'll constantly watch. And thinking about performance, a lot of times people like Sabac, your live show, when you're live on stage, your energy, like you got it. I learned that watching KRS-One for sure, right? A lot. And honestly, watching like Beanie Man, right? Watching Ninja Man, Tiger Man,
the dance hall
reggae artists who always would start this on, and then all of a sudden, break into like, soundstage. And I watched a lot of that, to be able to think about also performances and letting out that energy. And a big shout out to an organization I was part of for many years. I'm on the board of directors now with City Kids Foundation, because they also help support and nurture, the development in terms of performing original pieces with a message. You know what I mean? So
now that you brought up City Kids, I'd like to ask you what. So you're on this journey. You're promoting shows. You're rhyming. You're dancing. At what point? Hold on. Let me just make sure.
Yeah.
Timbuktu, what's the deal, son? So before I ask you the question, my man Timbuktu said, what is the origin of the name Sabac Red?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was back in the days when people used to like smoke weed and be like, let's go smoke a blunt and chill, right? And I had red hair. That was it. I'm like, well, do what? Let's go smoke a blunt and chill. It was like code word, So that was it. And then it took on all types of other meanings, right? And then I found out years later, I was overseas, that Sabac is actually a place in, I think, Serbia or something like that.
Oh, so, wow.
Oh, right, when you Google it. So, but that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. I think I found out, ironically enough, we were on tour somewhere overseas around the MySpace days. And shout outs to Cypher Up DJ Repmatic, who helped me get my first
Cypher Up DJ Repmatic. Yes.
Yo, he's the one who helped me get my MySpace page. He may not remember. I don't know. Maybe he does. But I remember, like, how do I get this MySpace? And he helped me set up my first MySpace.
So let me ask you this. Here you are. You're on this journey of becoming an artist, right?
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is that City Kids, to me, I met you again after high school, later on in life, and you were already knee deep in City Kids at that point. What made you jump into that swimming pool? And yeah, just give us a breakdown of what it's about and what made you make that, because that's part of your life. That's like a part of you. So I'm
it was a huge part of my life, and it helped in terms of like just the trajectory and where we're headed. So my boy Jose Cruz, shout out to Jose, was going to City Kids, right? And it was in Tribeca, Manhattan, right on Leonard Street, across the street from the knitting factory before there was even a knitting factory, 57 Leonard. And he was telling me about it, and I ended up having to do community service for some stupid things, whatever. And so he was like, well, come by. Maybe they have this opportunity for you to do some community service. So I went with him one Friday night. So on Friday nights, they would have something called Coalition, right? So Coalition is the opportunity for teenagers, young people from like anywhere from like 14 to 21-year-olds to come together and talk about issues that were happening. So I went with him one Friday night, and then you go in, you sign your name in, you go downstairs in this like loft basement. And I was like, what is this? There were like 50 to 60 diverse, and I mean diverse in all senses of the word, sitting in a circle talking about racism. And at that time, the facilitator of that meeting was Yoba, who was the vice president of City Kids, right? And Jamal Joseph was the artistic director. Jamal Joseph.
Oh my God. See what I'm saying about this kid?
So Jamal Joseph was part of the Panther 21, Black Panther, right? Now professor at Columbia University, served 9 years in Leavenworth, and Raleigh Neal, right, who's a musician, amazing, talented musician, was the music director. So what we did was, I was just listening that day, and they were talking about racism, the impact, the root cause. And then they broke out into these different groups, and everyone started writing poetry, skits, and raps, and songs, and keyboards. And it was like, what? So they started creating music based on what we just talked about. So, cool. 2 hours later, I go up and I'm ready to leave, head on the subway, go back home. And Malik, who was there at the time, was like, hey, who are you? This is your first time here. I haven't seen you before. What's your name? What do you do? And I told him I'm in school. He was like, okay, do you write? I told him, yes, I rap and blah, blah, blah. He was like, well, tomorrow on a Saturday, he was like, we have something called Repertory Company. You can come and you can continue this because we're going to do a whole entire campaign up in the Bronx where we're going to do this mural, and it's going to be about racism, and we're going to do a video called What You're Going to Do About Hate. And on that track was, a lot of people from Malik, Donald Faison. A lot of people know Donald from Scrubs and Clueless, so he was part of City Kids and all of that. So it was an opportunity to be part of this collective group of young people who would really unpack issues, social justice issues, and create pieces that we could perform in the community. And that felt right. And honestly, that was early 90s. I never left. That's where the training, the encouragement, the inspiration, and I ended up working there in the future as I was doing music and touring and having part-time work there, leading coalition meetings, traveling the world, literally, through City Kids. And now I'm a board member, and they have a spot. And it's really, Keith Haring was our artist, so he's the one who designed the logo.
Hey, bro, what?
He designed the City Kids logo. I remember I did a play in City Kids with Lauryn Hill before she blew up, before the Fugees. She was doing All My Children, and she was doing Sister Act. So we'd be in the basement practicing the lines for this play that we were working on, and she'd start rapping when we had a break, and her and I would rap. And I was like, you got bars. I said, you could really
Oh,
rap,
my
Lord.
God.
And she'd be like, yeah, a little bit, a little humble. And then a year later, I was working at Nana Shoes, right, selling shoes too in between this because I would hustle. That was right across the street from Fat Farm on Prince Street. Me and Toby and lots of others, right, we worked at Nana. Lauren comes in with Praz buying shoes for the video they were about to film for the Blunted on Reality album, whatever song that they were recording. She's like, come to the video shoot. Anyway, that's just, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, so, you got to think about the Point up in the Bronx, right? The Point, right?
Yes.
And the City Kids and Impact. It's these spaces where young people can come and have a voice and share their thoughts or just listen and then be creative and feel
be very creative,
an agency of who they are. So that's what that place, really, really instilled in me. So it was pretty dope, man. It was great.
Now, here's my curiosity.
And I met my best friend there too, by the way. Sorry, I think you pause. I met my best friend, one of my best friends in the world, Dash Myhawk, there too. Right? He's an actor.
Dash, yes.
So that's that I met him at City Kids. So that's incredible. Yep.
Here's a question that I have about City Kids and Sabac because it just dawned on me. Obviously, the second time you and I connect, Arsonist Nonfiction is in full gear. We're doing our thing. What I never thought to make the connection now that you're talking about your history is, all right, so you start out as this kid. We're all in New York. Hip hop is just bubbling. We're all doing our thing to participate in it. We don't know what it is, but we're having fun. My question to you is, were you always socially conscious, or did that happen with City Kids? Prior to that, because I know you mentioned you were a battle rapper and more having fun with the culture like we all were in the beginning. Did the social consciousness come with City Kids, or was that something that you were starting and then when you got to City Kids, it all just clicked?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the seed was already planted from what I felt from the murder of Yusuf Hawkins.
Wow.
When I saw that happen on the news, and I saw that he was murdered by people who
our own people, our own people from neighbors, the neighborhood, bro.
That's, to me, the chills, the feeling started there, and then from that, rap that I wrote. Because before that, it was all bravado lyrics,
Yeah,
right?
what
Like
everybody was doing,
little
bragging.
rhymes and all that. So to me, that was somewhat of a seed that was planted, and City Kids was the irrigation, to continue
Oh,
that. And of course, I didn't. We were teenagers, so I didn't make the best choices all the time. We grew up and
no,
trying to, hopping turnstiles,
yeah.
whatever it is that we're doing,
We were all in
graffiti.
New York, man. New York was
We
a
were
crazy
surviving.
place. You got to understand, when me and Bach were kids, New York was a crazy place.
Bro.
But it was fun. Period.
Absolutely. You can
Yeah.
find me like one day on 86th Street or Bay Parkway or Kings Highway or Marlboro or Coney
Yeah.
Island. Like I was all over. I'll go to Seagate and Coney Island. I ride my sister's 10-speed bike. We had one bike that was a used bike that had the
Yeah.
slant, so it was a female bike, right? Because it had the slant, but I'd still ride it from Gravesend all the way to Coney Island to Seagate to see my girlfriend at the time and stop at Mum's, right, to pick up a quick bag or whatever, and then like go down. It was wild, bro. Like sit on
Yeah.
the beach. I remember just, especially in the summertime, I just go ride the bike and I'd sit on the beach in Coney Island and write lyrics and just think about life, especially when things got hard, because
Yes.
things at some point took a pivot, family stuff or whatever got really, really difficult. So, but yeah, that was it. But hip hop was always that, so cliche to say, but it really was. It was that therapy. It was that
Yes.
outlet. It was
It
that
was for
ability.
all of us. We were all going through.
Yeah,
You know what I'm thinking? Here's another question, because when you're saying all of this, the one question that popped in my mind was, were you going to be? Oh wait, hold up. Before, what up, Nasty Ruckus? Eon, what's the deal, son? What is going on? Joe Sykes, thank you. Jay Freedom, what up? I got all of y'all. 14 years of rap part two, no doubt. Yo, so prior to nonfiction, in that gray area where you're just going through your own journey,
yep,
were your intentions to be a soloist? Or
yep.
was it that you saw nonfiction and said, all right, now I got something? What was the intention for you
Yeah. Great,
as an
great question.
MC?
There wasn't really a nonfiction at that point, right? So, I mean, Bill and Gore-Tex were friends and they grew up. But right before nonfiction, again, I was always hustling. And, here's an example. I had a friend named B Rock, the Force of One, right? Puerto Rican kid at a Sunset Park. And I would go, and me and my boy Kevin Barnes, who went by Jigsaw at the time, we had a group called Pieces of the Puzzle too. So we'd go and we record. And I remember that B Rock invited me to the city. He was like, yeah, I'm going to the Lower East Side because these guys I know are doing something called the Lyricist Lounge. Tonight's the first one they're hosting. And this was at a small little apartment downstairs on Hester and Orchard Street in the Lower East
Holy
Side. And I
shit.
went down there, and that was the first Lyricist Lounge. And I remember it was Aguilar, aka formerly known as Adolf the Assassin. It was Pre the Honey Dark, I believe, was there. I think Dougie Fresh showed up out of nowhere.
Wait a
But
minute, wait a minute. Was this
Anthony,
the one that Aguilar got on stage and he did a rhyme with no music and because I have a tape
there wasn't a
of what I
stage.
think, huh?
There wasn't a stage. It was like a little bait on Hester and Orchard. It was like a small little venue, as I remember it correctly, and it was like one of the first ones that they host, like a cipher, literally
I
like a
think I
cipher
was there because I have a tape. I walked into that event
with a
and I
cassette.
was all inspired by the Cold Crush tapes. So I put this tape thing in my pocket and I pressed record. And I caught Aguilar on stage and he did this rhyme when he was like, "Blah, blah, blah, blah." And in the middle of the rhyme, he takes this deep breath on the mic. He goes like that. And the whole crowd went
Yeah,
fucking nuts because
yeah,
none of us had ever seen that level of energy
yeah,
before.
yeah.
So I don't know if that was the same one, but
I don't know. I don't think it was because honestly, I don't remember there really being a crowd. It was just a
right.
few. There was
Okay. So
probably
it's
like 20
different.
people, 20, 30 people that were there for this pop up kind of like lyricist lounge event. So like
That's so
again, it's putting
crazy.
myself in these positions, whatever I heard, so I can just showcase, my talents. And then, when I was going to audio engineering school down by NYU, I was actually going to school with Miz from Freshco and Miz. So me and Miz were in the same class, and we were learning digital processing and all these things, learning about ohms and splicing ZZ Top records, right, for a final exam. And anyway, I ended up getting an internship, not at a recording studio, but at the New Music Seminar. So New Music Seminar was housed at Tommy Boy Records. So I used to work in the A&R department with a woman named Melanie. And this was like back in 92. And I remember like that time I would help support with the New Music Nights, which were the nighttime shows. So I remember getting the cassettes of House of Pain's new album, Naughty by Nature, Arrested Development. That was that era. So I started doing, again, the promotion of that, giving all the artists their lanyards. I'll be stuffing envelopes in the room, at the boardroom with Tom Silverman over there, seeing Daylock show. It was Tommy Boy, right? It was the New Music Nights. And that's where I ran into MC Search.
Perfect segue. So, what up, Nitty McNuggets? What's the deal, homie? You good? Good. Now, obviously, when you run into Search, there's no nonfiction yet. It's just you and Search.
No nonfiction. This was 92. Yeah.
I was at that New Music Seminar because that's when I started hanging. That's when I was a little before that I became a member of Rocksteady. And then me and Legs ended up going to the New Music Seminar. And I remember Search, there was an incident where there was a panel, right? And it was like, I don't remember who was on the panel, but the subject of young black teenagers came up, the rap group Young Black Teenagers.
Yep,
and for some reason, Search was really passionate about the subject. And as they were talking about it, he fucking rushes the panel with the whole crowd there. He grabs the mic and he starts scolding everyone on the panel. And he like puts the mic down and leaves. I don't remember what he was so mad about, but I remember him being very passionate about the young black teenagers at that time.
That's funny. That's hilarious. And interestingly enough, during those night festivals, David Faustino, aka Bud Bundy, was hosting one of the events that Search was at with Sake Lover, one of his boys, and I went up to Search and just be like, yo, he was like, oh, word, you want to be down? He was like, go battle Bud Bundy, and I was like, bet, let's go. And I was going to, and for some reason he was like, oh, chill. Like, no, you're good. I wanted to see if you would do it.
The test.
It was strange, bro. But anyway, like, I gave him my number. He never called me. I remember going for this audition for the show called B-Boys that Russell Simmons and Quincy Jones were producing, and everybody and their mother. And if you're a hip hop, you were going out for this part. I showed up to the audition in the building. UMCs were there. Leaders of the New School was there. Onyx, before it was Onyx or Frederick Starr. Dante, when I asked him his name, but AKA Mos Def, Yasmin Bey. Everyone was there. Wow. And Search was there. And hundreds of people. Buster did the beatbox while I was rhyming for Russell, right? So there's videos.
Wait a minute. Say that again for the people in the back.
Yo, I said this on a song I got on the Ritual album. It's like Busta Rhymes beatbox while I was rhyming for Russell. So here's what happened. They would call us in at times, and then they called two people in. So Russell, this day, had the camera going, and I started rapping a cappella, and Busta just jumped in, started beatboxing for me while I was rapping, gave me pounds and all that. Fast forward, it was for five characters for the show called B-Boys. Right. And the DJ that was going to be was 2020, and that came down to me and Search. We got the two calls. We went to the last audition, and I remember the last audition. It was Chill from Groove Be Chill.
Wow. Rest in peace.
It was Fredro. It was who else? Donald Faison actually was there as well.
Scrubs.
It was Mos Def, Search, me, right? And we had to go. We had to do a scene together where they were shooting, and we had to use the chairs like it was the car. We were in the car. So this is footage somewhere. There's stock footage somewhere.
Wow.
And long story short, Search ended up. They called me in. They were like, "Hey, John Fuente, blah blah blah." They were like, "Just want to let you know you did absolutely amazing. Great, keep doing your thing, but the part of 2020 is going to go to MC Search." I was heated, bro. I was like, I know I was better than him. Da, da, da. You know, it's competitive.
He already got a day job, son.
But then I thought about it. I was like, you know, Russell Simmons, Search had third base.
Third base.
It makes sense, right? Right. So anyway, I walked out. My head was held low a little bit, gave pounds, gave Search my number again because he had asked for it. Never called me. Fast forward, my boy M-Try opens up a show for Search, right? With DJ Clips and Riz when Search was solo.
Somebody went solo.
M-Try brought me on stage and I was able to hype him and do a couple of freestyles. Search then brought me up on his set to freestyle. At that point, Search gave me his number and I was like, for what, man? Like, Search, I gave Search my number again and I was like, Eclipse came in and was like, yo, Search wants to talk to you. I said, for what? I gave him my number like 5 times. But I had proved myself, I guess, beyond. So anyway, he actually called me like a week later. I remember I was getting off the N train on Kings Highway, Highland Avenue. And I was getting ready to leave. And I got a beep. I had a beep and my mom beat me. So I called her from the payphone and she said a guy named Search called. He said that he wants to call him right away. It's important. He seems like it's important. So I called and he was like, hey, what are you doing now? I was like, I just getting home from work, whatever. He was like, listen, I'm in the studio on Long Island. Come down here. Just get down here. Trust me. And I was like, what? Where's it? So I hollered at my boy Albie. My boy Albie had a whip. So he drove me out to Long Island.
Wow.
Go to the studio, and Search was in the studio with OC. And they were recording, right? They were recording a song off the Word Life album, and there was a part that needed a hook. It might have been Welcome to the Ozone or the Ozone something. So we got in and we did a chorus together. I freestyled, we were rapping and all of that. So that's when I became down with Search. And then Search put me down from there. And then, I would go out to Cedarhurst, Long Island, where he lived, on the Long Island Railroad on the weekends. I'd be up in the attic recording. At this time, he would leave, so he would go to the studio with Nas, right? And Eclipse was making me beats because Eclipse was living up in the attic with him at the time. And, me and my boy Jigsaw, Kevin Barnes, we'd write lyrics. And then I remember Search bringing me back the Represent rough draft that Nas recorded, and that just blew my mind, bro. And I know I've said this in some interviews, but maybe people didn't see it.
What's crazy is I know you. I know the general journey of Sabac. This shit I had no idea. So right now I'm like, what? Because I think somebody said it in the chat. Let me see where it is. Right, my man Nitty McNuggets, he said such a level playing field back in the day. And the thing is, he's almost 1,000,000% accurate with that, because we all would just go through the city and you wouldn't even know, within 10 minutes you'd be standing next to somebody like Q-Tip or one of the Jungle Brothers or this guy or that guy. And that's just how it was.
That's how it was.
How it was. It was wild.
I would leave work at Nana, which was right there on Prince Street, and I'd walk up down to Broadway and just put my headphones on, and I'd see he introduced himself as Kenyatta at that time, so Buckshot, right? They were at the table, they had oils and all of that, and then him and 5 Foot, I remember seeing them at the home base and all the clubs
Black
dancing.
Moon, baby.
They be in a circle dancing. They were dancers. Fredro too, when we were on tour with Onyx, Fredro and I shared stories about this, and we remembered. He was like, oh yeah, that's right, and dancing,
wow.
You know what I mean? So
what a fucking vast history. Like, the one thing that I definitely wanted to highlight when I thought about having you on was, I knew, but I just feel like more people should just hear the story, because then they understand that today is about Sabac. That's who we're highlighting. And as you can see, Sabac's roots are so deeply embedded in this culture that the stories are just mind-blowing. And another thing about passion, something that I always talk about, is behavior. Now, I know Sabac, and Sabac is one of those dudes that you could invite him to anywhere because he can behave. And so that's another key thing. It's like Sabac is ending up in all of these circles. And part of that element is because Sabac understood how to fucking behave. He didn't go in rushing in, yo, it's about me. Where's mine? Where's me? He's just in the room making shit happen in a very subtle way. I'm not saying anyone is perfect, but it's like when we talk about passions and being in the room and being in these circles, no matter what your passion is, I don't give a fuck what it is. There's always a hierarchy in any passion. So if you know who the key people are and you're gonna go rub shoulders with him, when you're listening to a story like this, the first thing that stands out to me is the reason why he's in a lot of these circles, because the motherfucker knew how to behave at a young age, mind you, at a young age. He could be in any circle and be chill and keep the journey going. So that, I definitely give you props for that, because, you know, that's not, that, you know, you and I, we run into, when the arsonists and nonfiction started doing this, what ends up happening is you start, the turnaround happens where the youngins are starting to come in, and some of them know how to behave and some of them just don't. And then they're clueless at why nobody hollering at me, or why am I not in this? Sometimes it's just based on your behavioral skills. Can you be chill in a circle full of your peers and some people that you look up to? And a guy like Sabac could be in any circle and be like, yo, I'm me. I'm here to just.
And sometimes, and I appreciate that, Q. And sometimes it was challenging because, you know, I mentioned before, you know, one of my best friends, Dash, you know, I remember when, you know, he was always a rapper, and, you know, grew up on, on West Beth and Lower East Side with Simulated Dummies, right? So John Gamble, rest in peace, and Geeby, rest in peace, and shout out Dante Ross. And he grew up in the same apartment building. So he's also an actor. So he went off eventually and did a movie, Romeo and Juliet, with Leonardo DiCaprio, right? And this is not a stunt. This is just attributing to what you're saying. And I remember then Dash would be like, yo, we're going out tonight. Okay, cool. And I'd roll out, and it would be like me, Leonardo DiCaprio, Dash My Heart, Vinny Mook, aka Vincent Lucera. It was like we'd be going to the parties and we'd be getting in for free. And back then, they didn't allow you to wear hats in clubs, but we'd walk in, hats and a Joe's Pizza, into like one of the most pristine nightclubs, because it was Leo and Dash and everyone. But you had to know how to compose. And that was from like 1999, 98, all the way to 2002. We'd roll up to the Hamptons and be in parties. And I was the underground rapper. And composure was important, but it was also intimidating at times, right? Because it's like, I didn't have all the money they had. And I'm like, oh, they're going to ask for when you're bringing these bottles, but fortunately it's all taken care of, right? Because that's what it was. But it's that ability to do that. And it really doesn't mean anything except that it's the ability to observe, right? It's self-awareness for me too. There were many times where I was uncomfortable because I'm drug-free, right? Don't do drugs. But I would see it in some circles, and not with that particular group, but like just being in these parties and different circles, parties, and I'm just like, the pressure, but having the ability to control and maintain was important too, right? So, you know, I appreciate you naming that. It's not always easy. It's that self-awareness piece, right? Sometimes often anxiety ridden, but yeah, and you know, it's no worse too, man, because we know what it's like when we're overseas and you got sometimes, or anywhere really, drunk or belligerent people listen to my song. Like, that's not the approach. You know what I mean? That's not the
too
approach.
Aggressive.
Yeah, you know, you want to be be respectful. So yeah, man, it was good. And you know, I also got great joy and gratitude of helping others. That's just, you know, a couple of years back, I did. They call it a Gallup Strengths Finder, right? Which is learning your top 5 strengths. And my number 1 strength that came up, and I took it twice. This is self-assessment. Is connectedness, the ability to connect people, resources, ideas, right? And I remember, like, you know, even thinking about some people who eventually blew up, like DJ Cassidy used to roll with Nonfiction all the time, and his dad, you know, was big, but I took him under my wing as a mentor and brought him to City Kids, and when he was DJing parties, would kind of pick him up, and his mom and dad trusted, you know, that I take care of him, and that was great because he was a great kid. And you know, and I'm not saying it's trivial, I'm saying, but look at that, right? So the ability to help support a small little thing of people finding their voice, their identity, their passion, you know, and yeah, man, it's been a journey, you know, it's for sure been a journey, and I got lots of gratitude. And the industry just, of course, like most people, turned me off, right? It's why I love to see the independent happening over the past 5 years plus, because it's what we were doing back then, right? So, man, can you imagine Q? And even as I'm serious as I'm talking, people won't know how funny I actually am, right?
That's the thing. That like Sabac, he's being like the high school Sabac that I know, like on some Rakim shit. But trust me, like this, so whenever I tell people funny people that I know in this business, it's always Sabac, Destroy, Swell, and Mr. Len. Those are the 4 dudes that will, like, Sabac has made me laugh. Like I had said in the beginning of the show, Sabac has made me laugh one time. There was one time that I picked him up and I was laughing so hard that I almost crashed and killed us both, because Sabac, see, the thing is, when you come from the same neighborhood, there's just
it's a cadence.
There's a way that we communicate that the rest of the world just ain't gonna get. There's certain words and certain nuances that Sabac can throw at me that I know, because that's my child. So if Sabac goes, like if we get into that OA shit, that Goomba shit from Gravesend, I know exactly where Sabac is coming from. And so you throw that on top of a mature Sabac that's fucking sharp as a fucking blade, that can throw out punchlines, and he's throwing comical shit with this vernacular that comes from Gravesend. I am a fan right there. I'm dying laughing because he's hitting punchline after punch. But you have to be in the room. He can't just I can't force him to do it. You know what I mean?
No.
So yes, my man Edwin, yes, Sabac is nasty on stage. Ill Bill used to say to me and Bach that we were his inspiration for live shows. Because me and Sabac, I don't know how it happened, but me and Sabac just have this level of energy that could, like, just be extremely explosive in a powerful and positive way on stage. And so Ill Bill has always tipped his hat to myself and Sabac for that for years and years and years,
Bill and I talked about that actually on tour when we were in Chile, right? Because Bill, you got no choice but to want to make sure the bars are stepped up, and being on a track with Bill, I consider to be one of the most prolific lyricists.
He's nasty,
and just continuously evolves, right? So so the complementary of each other's, in terms of stage show and then in studio and on record, I think was awesome. So yeah, man, that's dope.
So I want to rewind a little bit. Now, let me know. I'm not taking you. Still got a little more time on the clock?
I got some time. Yeah. I committed. That's it. I'm good.
So you're in Search's attic. Beats are being made. You're writing rhymes. At this point, are you thinking that you're gonna have a solo career? Because there's no nonfiction yet. Are you thinking I'm working towards my first single? What are you thinking?
I had a group called, like I said, Pieces of the Puzzle with me and my boy Jigsaw. We've got like 4 or 5 songs that DJ Eclipse produced, including B-Rock. Force of One produced 2, right? Riding on the Trains. Brooklyn Keeps on Taking It, that Eclipse produced. I got those demos. It's crazy. So we were thinking of putting out a first album with me and my boy Kevin Barnes. And then things just started shifting a little bit of a turn, and just how things happen, right?
Yeah, we're kids. We don't really know,
Yeah. And then eventually I was like, I'm going to do this solo. So I'm going to keep grinding. So I would go to the studio, I record. There was a female artist Search was producing at the time too, called Chi Assess. She was dope. I don't know what happened to her, but she was dope. So anyway, so we record and go to the shows, and again, at that time, Search is really invested in Nas, his Illmatic album. So he's
right.
And at that same time, he ends up getting VP of marketing at Wild Pitch Records, and then brings me and Eclipse on board. So I was helping with some college radio promotion. I felt honored that I got to help support in the small way of the college radio promotion for OC Word Life album. And then, of course, they had Entice, they had The Pool, and all the other things. But I remember me and OC sitting in the small little office I had, just talking about how they better not mess up this project, man. Real life album was too important, man. Too important. I see Mike Geronimo roll up there a few times too, and it was a great experience. And at that time, part of that promotion was then going out to different spaces and asking, "Would you play this OC record?" Hence, how I met Bill, because Bill would work in his dad's spot, Rugged Jeans, on Broadway in the Village, and I see Bill all the time as I was walking by. We even ice grilled each other sometimes, right? At one point, I thought I mistook Bill for Joe Fatal, which is funny because they
look similar.
Yeah, same beard. He had the beard, the same kind of beard. So I was like, "Is that Joe Fatal?" I was like, "Nah, not really." But anyway, and that's when I saw Bill, and I was like, "Hey, I've got this OC record. Would you play this in the store?" He already had it, and he said, "Absolutely." And he said, "You work with Search? You up at Wild Pitch?" Yep. He gave me a vinyl that he had did with Southpaw Records. Played it for Search. Search said, call Bill in. Called Bill in. Search and I talked about putting kind of a group together anyway. And that's the rest is history. So Nonfiction initially was me, Search, Eclipse, and Bill. And then Vortex joined us later. That's it.
Wow. Holy. Y'all just heard. And I'm sure some of y'all, because a lot of y'all, if not most of y'all, we're all Nonfiction fans. But y'all just heard it straight from Sabac, man. This is like mind-blowing for me. It's like, you don't know, because at that time, I'm already dealing with nomads, going from nomads to the arsonists, and so I'm on my own little journey. But Sabac, like, some of these, like, stories you have are just like, holy shit, bro. And it's a true testament to your character, because you never got lost in all of the excitement of it. Of course, like I said, and you've said it a few times as well, no one's perfect. We slip, we have moments where we look like idiots or whatever. I've had a lot of those moments, but overall, we survived it, because here we are on the other side of the journey, still moving forward, still doing incredible things, but we're still here. And so to hear some of these stories, because it's almost like a parallel universe between all of us, between arsonists, certain arsonist members, certain Nonfiction members, and things we've seen and been a part of. It's like, that's why I say, being in New York City at that time, it was such like, you were in arm's reach of so much shit. New York it could be overwhelming because of the speed of it, because of the buildings, but it's very compressed. Everything's pretty close. And just a little side note, what's pretty fascinating about Sabac and me now today is that we're two Gravesend kids that are now living in California.
Crazy, right?
It doesn't even make sense. He's in Northern, right? You're in Oakland, so you're around near Oakland.
Yep.
And I'm in LA. So it's like you couldn't have written this any more crazier. So that's the deal. For those that are asking, yes, Puerto Rico, of course. Both of us are half Boricua, half Italian, of course. Just amazing. I'm just making sure I get to. So my man Jay Freedom said, Sabac, I used to see your cleaning technique of your kicks on the green DVD.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So my man Edwin said, Sabac had me tired just watching him boogie, because the energy that you have. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh my God. So Nonfiction starts. Would you say the chemistry was instant, or did it take a little bit of an adjustment period?
It's a great question. Initially with Bill, because I had met him and then we brought him on, with Search, we gelled, right? And what I appreciated about Bill, because he's ill, right? And he's also,
no pun intended.
It's like, exactly. And I'm like, okay. Once I got to know him a little bit more, it's like, okay, I see what this is about. And what I appreciated about him is his willingness to, his content was different than what I was rapping about, right? But his ability to be open, and then my willingness to be open as well, to figure out how this can work. And and it kind of it stuck. It took a little bit of time, but it worked. And Bill, what I appreciated was that he really encouraged me to step up the bar game, as best as possible, right? Because
Right.
that was it. And opening up his crib, so we'd be writing rhymes in Starrett City. So then Bill and I established a friendship, right? Where Search wasn't there at times. So Bill and I be in his crib and trying to think of choruses. And this was in Starrett City. And then when Gore-Tex was brought on, they had already known each other for so many
Right.
years.
A
It
childhood
became
friend.
more, right? More of that. So it took some time, but yeah, I mean, now it's like that's like a brother.
That's fam. Brothers.
Testament,
Yeah.
family. He broke bread at my house. I broke bread at his house, and yes, rest in peace to his moms who recently
Yes, rest in peace to Ill Bill's mom. Yes,
Yep,
definitely.
yep.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, that was it. But like anything, it took time to evolve. It takes time to build trust. You want to see the level of commitment. You want to see the work ethic. There were trials and tribulations along the road with being signed to get records, and then, not being signed, and content, and going out to Vegas and opening up for the Roots for the Echo Unlimited show that that Search was hosting back in the day. So we got a chance to be on the road together for a short period of time. I actually recently found footage of that during this last break. I ended up getting sick, and I was in the house with the robe, and I still have a VHS player, so I connected it, and I was like, let me go through these old VHS tapes, and I found crazy footage of all.
You gotta put it up, Doc. You gotta put it up, Doc.
No, people know I don't usually post much on social media, man. I'm just like I'm just got this love-hate relationship with it.
I feel you.
I'm more private. I got lots of responsibilities, really great things that doing in the community, and raising my two sons and my wife, and we're doing great things, and but I still do features. Like I just recorded 2 verses for Snow Goons, for my boy Tom, Real Wolf, and
I was gonna ask you about that.
Hear stuff. It never goes away.
So obviously, nonfiction. You've already talked about the history. I want to get into your solo stuff because you just mentioned. Thank you, Spoon. I appreciate that. No doubt, Detroit. I got you. Thank you. I'll let shout out to Ill Bill, of course. So Sabac, you have these 2 albums, Sabacalypse and The Ritual. There's definitely a difference between 1 and 2.
Yep.
And then let me ask you this, because all of us, we all have a different perspective of where putting out music today is. Everybody deals with it differently, and no one is wrong, and no, you know what I mean? Like we all are approaching it differently. For you, I'm curious, after The Ritual, I saw some singles, but do you find it that in for your journey, your personal journey, do you think that there's another album in you, or do you think you're approaching it more like looking at the lay of the land and seeing how things are shifting in a massive way? Do you think you're more of just observe the lay of the land first before you even dive into anything? Or are you in a place where you're like, I'm good with not doing albums. I'll jump on a track here and there, but that's no longer my bag. Where are you at with what's up, Andrea? What's the deal? Go ahead.
That's a great question. And I would say that it's not an or, it's an and. Right? It's a combination. Do I have another album in me? Absolutely. I've got like books and pages and rhymes that I can do. It also has to be authentic to my spirit. It can't be forced, right? So when I get approached, and I do get approached from people like, hey, you want to do this collaboration? Like, again, shout out to Tom, Real Wolf, Toronto, and my new No Goons will holla. And I'm like, gotcha, right? Let's do it. Maybe it takes longer just because priorities, right? Like, but Mike's right here, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's it. So that'll never go away. And I have lots of like verses and songs that I'm sitting on that just aren't put out, right? So yes, I have it in me. It's not any excuse of any sort. It's a little bit of when's the appropriate time? When do I do it? Am I waiting? It's got to really feel true to my spirit to be able to say, yeah, I'm gonna drop this. I'll put it out. But most of the time, someone hollers at me for a feature. The whole idea of putting together a whole album and releasing a whole project, I haven't really entertained that. lately because even my, it's interesting because I think sometimes people compartmentalize me in terms of like the type of beats I want, right? So I'm like, not that I don't want grimy underground sounding beats, that's great, but more soulful, right? Like that's just where I'm in my headspace.
I feel that.
Now. The lyrics and the content will be the same. So it's interesting because the times that I have immediately is when I hear that beat, that I'm like, boop, there it is.
Right.
An hour, done, right? Done. Like, some of the recent verses and some things that I've done. So, yeah. So
now, that's dope. And I totally get it. And you know what, as you were saying it, I said to myself, what's crazy? For me, I've done 3 songs with you. I've done, the famous one is Urban Gorillas, which I'm so happy to be a part of that song. That's a fucking, I think I need to like perform my verse at my next show because that song is amazing. And then we did Time together and we did, there's another song off of my album, was like a B-side joint that didn't hit Vengeance's mind the first time around, but it ain't safe.
It ain't safe no more.
And so, but what stood out to me was, I like the chemistry that you and I have. And I was sitting here like, why didn't I, like, asking myself as you were speaking, I was like, why didn't I fucking ask Bach to do way more than, because there's like, when you go back and listen to those songs, there's a nice chemistry happening, man. Like I'll leave it at that, but Are you
poaching me right now? Are you poaching? Are you like, hey, Bach, I got this beat.
No.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yo, listen, there's no hesitation there. Like you're my boy. You know what I mean? Like, but like I was thinking about, like for the first time, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, yo, if you go back and listen to Bach's verses on all 3 of those songs with me, it's like all fly shit. So it's like, to me, it's like, I was sitting there like, why? What an asshole. Why didn't I fucking do like another 50 songs with Bach? I did like 1 million with Ill Bill. You know what I mean? So it's like,
do you remember there was a time when I would come to your crib? I don't remember what year it was, but I was recording like verses every day. Remember, you were like, how come that we would just bang?
Yes.
I was just recording verses that I would write, or write the night, come the next day and record them, right? Come the next day and record them.
Yes.
That was I forgot what year that was, but you had the studio, like, just come and record. And every day I was recording verses at the crib. Yo, we're live, huh? It's an hour and a half.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, am I echoing a lot again? Because I can hear an echo, and I'm just trying to, like, as Sabac is talking, I'm making sure I check everything and make sure everything's all good. But it seems like it's all good, so I don't know what's going on.
It's all good. It's all good. I don't hear you echoing, but that may be like a outside of this platform thing. So, but Q, also, before we wait, I want to say something too. Like, I have to give you flowers too, because your consistency. I mean, we're talking about me, but also how long you've been doing this. Your genuine interest, your trajectory from picking up that flyer to going to shows, to Rocksteady, to the Nomads, to the Arsonist, to, like, Stillwell, and, like, man, to think about, like, how much you have done and are doing is a great testament to your character, your commitment, who you are as a human being, as an artist, as a husband, as a father, right? Because I know your son's involved as well, and I remember he was a little kid. So, I mean, it's a lot, right? And I think oftentimes the spaces for men particularly don't always allow us to be vulnerable and share this with one another, right? Because it's true, bro. I know you for so many years. I can say this, that I love you, bro. Like, for real. So it's like these spaces allow that time, and even publicly vulnerable, right? In space, because we're out here in the meta world. And it's like, whatever. So I commend you as an inspiration for someone who has been so consistent, unapologetically who you are, and continuously putting music, being creative, finding those outlets, and overall being a nice friggin' guy, bro. You're a nice guy.
Thank you so very much, man.
I'm going to talk shit later, but you're a nice guy. Tony.
What are you saying there, Johnny?
We'll get a slice.
Thank you
of
so
L&B.
very much for that. I appreciate that, Bach. I really do, because you're not a guy that just goes around handing out compliments like their business cards. So I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much, man.
Of course,
I really
absolutely.
do, man.
Absolutely. What else are you curious about?
I'm sorry. I'm just making sure I get everybody's questions as well.
Detroit Throwers. Joe Sykes.
When you look at your two bodies of work, from Sabac to The Ritual, do you have your list of songs from both works that you're like, these are the songs that whether I perform, whether I'm telling people what I'm about, do you have a list of songs, or do you look at both of your works like, this is it, I'm good with everything? Because for me, I'm not like that. Like, I could go through my catalog and there's certain songs that I'm like, and then there's certain songs like this is what I want them to know me for.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a great question. And there's some songs where I cringe a little bit, but it's mostly because of how aggressive I was on the songs back then, especially on the Sabacalypse album, like really pushing.
Right.
So I would love to be able to take the same lyrics and kind of like remix them or whatever. But on both albums, there are those songs that I'm like, yeah, I could have done without. I could do without them. And there's ones that I'm like, yeah, like Organize and Sabacalypse and A Change Gonna Come, Urban Gorillas, Fight Until the End. When we were in Bogota recently, a couple of weekends ago, and we had to switch up the show, but Fight Until the End wasn't on there on the set list. And this one lady, this woman, she put up a phone with the picture, please perform this. And I did it, and I have it on video. I didn't realize how many people wanted that song,
Oh my God.
And on The Ritual, it's like, the commitment, reality television, breaking through, darkness deepens, and Death and Destiny featuring Slain, like, and what I liked about The Ritual is that it had a variety of different sonically sounds, right? America's a Business, that song that I did. So, it varies, but there's definitely, I have more songs that I appreciate than I do the ones that I'm like, okay, I could have removed that, right? Like Open Book Policy, the song Open Book Policy, every single word lyric is the title of a book, right? Of all three verses, right? But I'm not big on the way I delivered it or the beat necessarily. Right. It's good, but I would like to hear it on something else. So, so that's a good question. Yeah, but those are the ones.
Oh, man. Now I'm gonna ask a question.
Remember the song AIDS? That was crazy.
Yeah, I do the narration on that.
That's right. Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, you do the narration. That's right. In 2024, there's been testings of like.
I'm going to ask you a question. Thank you, Edwin. I'm going to ask you a question that I'm sure you hear a million times, but I got to ask you here, and then I'm going to stop bothering you.
You're not bothering me.
Nonfiction, new album. Tell the people where you guys are at, because they ask me about Arsonist all the time, and I'm like, the people that come here to watch the show, I tell them, the chances of a new Arsonist album are very slim, possibly not happening. That's just a fact of life. Where we at in life, the Arsonists, we're so in different worlds right now. Everybody's got their own thing going on. And when we were the Arsonists, we all practically lived together, like in the same block. So we couldn't avoid each other. That's why so much shit got done. And so I'm going to ask you what I'm sure you've heard this question a million times, but I got to ask you here, nonfiction, new album, what is your thoughts on this?
So I can say this. I learned to never say never, especially when there's still existing members present and, there's still the possibility, right? Until there isn't a possibility. So I learned to never say never. So is there anything in the works happening right now? Not necessarily, right? Are there conversations that are had when we're on the road? Absolutely, right? So again, never say never. Nothing's dropping this year necessarily, right? So, but you never know. You might get a song or two.
You never know.
Well,
And that's all you need these days is a song. That's all you need.
That's it.
And what's dope is, at least in the case of nonfiction, you guys are still hitting the stage, which is like, it's mind blowing. And you guys are doing amazing shit on stage. I wasn't like, you guys were out here a few years ago, and I know you guys do one-offs here and there. So to me, that's amazing enough. Like, they're still here. They're still rocking the crowd. So that, to me, is a blessing, because I can't say my crew. So it's amazing to see, you know what I mean?
I mean, I feel really honored the fact that we have one official album out and we have been able to tour all the time, like consistently. Man, I say consistently, like meaning like every year, like 2023, we were able to do a whole run with Onyx, right? 2024, we were able to do Lords of the Underground Onyx, right? Or vice versa. I think it was Lords of the Underground and then Lords of the Underground Onyx, right? For like 2 consecutive weeks, get on the road. Then we do these anniversary shows. Then we do some one-off festivals. So, and to see people still genuinely wanting to come out to see us, and how like Black Helicopters and like It's Us, It's the N-O-N become like these anthems where everyone wants to hear and jump. And If You Got Love, produced by Pete Rock, and Rock Stars by Premier, and it's man, much gratitude. Much gratitude. I tell in the work that I do out here, it's like I go away for like 4 or 5 days, and I'm in other countries, and it's like I'm a celebrity, and then I come back, and I feel gratitude to be able to have that, and yet come back and stay grounded in the work that I'm doing out here and being a family member and all that stuff. So it activates the spirit, it fills the need and the void at the moment, and then it's like, here it is. So yeah, man. Look at you, Q. Look at you, Q. Look at you, Q.
So my final questions for you, the obligatory question, is, what are you doing now? What should people look out for, or you just trucking along? When things drop, you'll make it known. Like what is the deal?
Are you talking about music specifically?
Anything. To me, it's like, for instance, when I talk on my show, I don't just talk about my hip hop shit. I let people know, yo, my band Mother Fuzz, we're dropping a new single, blah blah blah. So it's like whatever you want to let the audience know.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I mean, some people are curious. I'm pretty private now on social, but I'll drop stuff. But I feel really fortunate. I've been able to work within an organization that's the largest organization in the Bay Area outside of like major YMCAs and Boys and Girls Club, that provides mental health, workforce reentry for adjudicated students and young people, expanded learning programs, community schools, healthy communities, first 5 centers in the Bay Area. So I've been working with them for many years, since I came out here, really I'm out here in California now, 2005. So
wow.
It's been 21 years, but I started working with this organization and constantly was able to progress and move into positions where I'm able to continue to do the work in the community. So right now I'm the deputy director of our industry for expanded learning in the Bay Area. And I feel gratitude because, we're constantly looking at sustainable funding sources in the state of California. How do we continue to provide opportunities in the community for young people, specifically at schools, to work? So I'm grateful that I get access, or our organization gets access to funding, and I'm able to hire and bring on board amazing teaching artists and educators to be able to provide opportunities for students. So, that's the day-to-day pretty much.
God bless you, Doc. I mean, you are one of my favorite people on the planet, and to me, this conversation was so amazing because some of it I knew, but a lot of it I didn't. And to know that there's somebody that I came up with that's not distracted by the illusion, and you're just doing you, that, to me, that's so important. That's another thing that I like to say to the people watching. It's like, not everybody has to go in like, with a stack of money and talking about, I'm grinding, I'm this, that. Like, look, like a guy like Doc, who's part of one of the most successful hip hop groups in history, still touring. Sabac is a good dude. You don't see him acting thirsty, man. He's just moving forward. What connects to his heart, which is so important. Pay attention to that, man. That's the life right, man. Sabac,
Appreciate that,
thank you
man.
so much, man. Like,
No, you're welcome. And I want to say to you and everyone too, like, you know, the world's crazy, man. It has been. It's been forever, right? As long as we know it. There's been war, there's been violence, there's been injustice and inequities, and really the importance is that we really continue to take care of ourselves. And like, I mean, some of the mindful practices is like, you take care of yourself first, you take care of your family, then your community, and then the world. And you know, we have to make sure that we continue to protect our mental health, we protect our physical health, right? That we check in on one another, right? Because you never know what someone's going through. Because, you know, that's another reason why with social media, it's like there's so much. I don't even think we as human beings have evolved yet to consume as much content that we consume every day. Like the hard drive is out of storage right now, but yet we keep overloading it without enough time to output the process of what it is that we just consume. From waking up at, like, some people wake up at 6 in the morning and it's the first thing they do, and before they go to bed, and then throughout the day. And this is no judgment. It's just like,
no, it's real.
I've been, you know, on that too. I'm not exempt from that, right? We do it.
You're observing. You're making an observation.
Absolutely, to acknowledge it and be able to think about finding your peace, finding your groundedness. And I'm telling you, even if it's 1 minute in the morning to be quiet and silent and focus on your breath and do that, it's helpful. And you know, I'm not consistent with it either, but I'm finding the moments to be able to do that, because yeah, it's crazy out there. You got children dying all the time, and you know. Anyway, I don't want to end on that note, because you know I'm a funny guy too. But you know, I'm just saying, like, let's take care of each other. Let's continue to check in and
let's take care of each other. That's Sabac's closing statement. Listen, let's take care of each other, man. Seriously, we could turn the tide like that if we start slowly paying attention to how we handle these weird new things in our lives, like social media apps and things like that. If you go on there with some sort of paying attention to how you deal with other people, man, you know, slowly but surely things can turn for the better, but it takes time. That's how I see it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
So Sabac, thank you so very much for doing this, my man.
Yes, sir.
I love you, bro.
You gotta come see me up here in Northern Cal. I'm not in Oakland anymore. I'm more in the Sacramento area. But you gotta come visit, man. You gotta come and visit. I'll come visit.
Hey, man, y'all gotta come to LA, son.
Relax. The I-5 Live. Let's go.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
All right, Bach. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, show Sabac some love up in the comment piece. He's about to be out. Stay on. We're going to build a little more. Sabac, love you, bro. And I'll be talking to you on the side.
Absolutely. Love you, Q. Love to the fam. See you soon.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, that was fly, man. Thank you, Sabac, son. That was dope. That was so dope. That was dope. So, yo, first of all, I got to thank y'all. Thank you guys up in the comment section. Everything y'all are commenting on, questioning. Thank y'all for assisting me and throwing me some gems and all of that. Thank you for showing love for the families, homelessness, non-fiction, the whole underground, community. Thank you so very much on that. So now getting back to the whole world of qunique. Remember, brand new video has dropped. Cypher up, myself and Redmatic. We got a full album coming out. Next single's coming out on the 27th of this month, so stay tuned for that. Oh, my man Spoon. So Spoon, that was actually a movie set that we got to use, man. It was pretty crazy because it was damn near 100% accurate. Of course, coming from New York, I could see where certain things needed a little bit of an adjustment, but being a person that grew up on the MTA, it was like perfect for me. And it was like to be able to deliver the first song off the qunique Redmatic album, to have that kind of a film set, it just fell into place perfectly for me. So yo, thank you, Stutters, and the rest of the staff that helped out with that. That video came out crazy. Yeah, exactly. You know the deal. You know the deal. Oh, Edwin, my audio's bad right now. I mean, hey, guys, let me know, how bad is it? Cause I'm like trying to figure out certain things with the system today. Thank you, Spoon. I appreciate that. 8-bit? Wow. 1, 2. How about that? How does that sound? 1, 2. That's weird, man. I don't know what's going on. I might have to go back to the old analog like joint, like the arm mic. I think I might have to go back to this joint. I tried with the clip on, but it's I think we're struggling a little bit here. Loud static. Damn, son. All right. On the next show, I'll switch it up. But for now, we're going to end this on this mic. I just want to say to y'all, thank y'all for watching today's episode. Thank you, Sabac, for a beautiful conversation. Thank y'all, everybody in the room. And thank y'all for supporting the new qunique Redmatic single, the video, all of it. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your support at the beginning with the super chats, super stickers, super gifts. And if you want to support any more, just hit up qunique.com, q-unique.com. You got the shop there, all the music, all the videos, everything is golden. So yo, y'all have a good night. I will see you on Friday with the other mic, and make sure everything's crispy clean with no caffeine. And much love to y'all. Have a good night. qunique is out. Peace.